this next video, we're going to see Zach Fitzgerald, who has an amazing story of overcoming resentment and anger in his life and finding peace with Jesus after several family tragedies.
My name is Zach Fitzgerald, and I am from Lexington, Tennessee. I was born in Jackson. When I was 5 years old, we come home from a basketball game. My mom was the head coach in Jackson Central Mary, and my dad, he told me that we needed to go on a drive, and he proceeded to tell me that my mom had cancer, and it wasn't good. It was breast cancer, and so from 5 to about 6 and a half, mom fought cancer, and she goes to the doctor one day and they tell her she's clean, and so from about 6 and a half to close to about 7 and a half, mom was clean of cancer, and we go home from another basketball game when she got done coaching, and dad told me we need to go on another drive, and I immediately knew it was coming. I could see it in his face, and he told me that mom had cancer again, and that it wasn't good. It was worse than the last time. So from about 7 and a half to 8 and a half, mom was dealing with cancer the second time, and got to the point where she started getting her house in order. She knew that she was getting ready to meet Jesus, and one Sunday night we're at church, and I went down, and I said the prayer, and I got baptized, and I thought that I was good. I thought that I was good, and I thought that I was saved. And looking back, I did it for the wrong reasons, and we'll get into that. But mom got to see me get saved, quote unquote, and she got to watch me be baptized, and then it got real bad. Cancer attacked her whole body, and about a week before my birthday, the doctor told me to go tell her bye, that she wasn't gonna make it. And so I immediately began praying that I said, God, I don't know if you're gonna heal her or not. Doctors say it's not happening, but just let her tell me happy birthday. And so each night of that week, they kept telling me to go tell her bye, because she wasn't gonna make it to the next morning. And finally my birthday rolls around, and I walk into her room, and she looked at me and told me happy birthday. And a couple hours later, she met Jesus. It was hard. It's still hard, you know. The pain didn't go away, it just gets more tolerable. And I got really rebellious. You know, dad decided that he needed to start dating again. And looking back, I understand. Man needs a wife, man needs a companion. And I started getting worse and worse, and finally one night, dad looked at me and said, I can no longer handle you. He said, you're going to military school. And I begged him. He said, don't send me. He said, give me one more chance. So from then on out, I just started smiling a lot and nodding to whatever was going on, and just kind of going through with what I needed to do to get by. Still filled with anger. And one night he looked at me and said, son, I'm going to marry her. And he said, I need you to be okay with it. And that summer I was his best man. And I'm so glad I didn't run her off. She's a great Christian woman. Looking back, I feel terrible about how I treated her, and it was just a real dark time in my life. So I dealt with this for a year, and on November 11th, 2007, different preachers preaching, and I couldn't tell you what he said, because it didn't matter to me, because I was getting right with Jesus in the pew, and the whole time I know it's time, and God's calling me. And so I finally just said, you know, God, I've been running, and it's not right, and I'm lost and dying and going to hell. And so I asked Jesus to save my life, and that I couldn't do it alone. And as soon as I finished praying, it was like a 1,000-pound weight was just lifted. And whenever he gave the altar call, I didn't wait for him to get done. I was gone. And I was saved that night. I was saved before I went down the altar call. Sophomore year, my grandfather goes to the hospital because he can't breathe. And so after school that day, after football practice, I went and I saw my dad in the waiting room, and he said, "Son, we gotta talk." And it was that look again. And he said, "Son, your granddad has cancer." And I stood up and said, "Okay, let's go see him." And he said, "Sit down, it gets worse." Of course, I asked him, I said, "What's worse than cancer?" He said, "Son, your mom was in a corner room. Do you remember it?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "He's right next door." And so every time I stood at my grandfather's bed, I was looking at my mom's deathbed and just reopened up all the old wounds. I was so mad. Like, how can this happen? And the hardest thing, one of the hardest things I've ever to do was carry one of my heroes to his grave. It was terrible. I kept saying, "God, why? You know, I don't understand. I'm just 16 years old, and all this stuff is happening." And finally, it was like God got a hold of me and said, "I gave you all this so you could help others." And that was the defining time of my life whenever I broke my hand, because I knew I couldn't keep going. And at the end of this life, I hope that people would, when they see me, they should see an arrow pointing up to God, because that's all that I really want to do. People are hurting, and I can relate, and that's why I love this Jesus movement, because people walk through the doors here and they're broken and they have the same anger that I had. I can relate to them, and I feel like I can help, because I've been there and I've been angry at God. And after all this, I feel like I can really say it as well with my soul, like the song says, because God is good, and I can sit here and say that God is good because He is. We don't understand, but He does, and He sees the big picture of our lives. And He just wants you to trust Him. And that's why I love this Jesus movement, because all these people are here for one central goal, and that is to just point people up to Christ. And at the end of the day, if we do that, then we've done what He wants us to do.